Fishing Vinny Malkus. I'm here to talk to you about simplicity of fishing, or whatever. We'll just go with that. Or it's what I learned this year. So this year, my first real year of actually just fishing tournaments professionally, and it's been enlightening. So I've learned a lot, and I'm going to go over one of the things I learned that's interesting, because I'm a guy that I go to these tournaments and I've done well in a lot of local tournaments and okay in some bigger tournaments, but usually what I'm always looking for is I'm looking to win tournaments, right? And I'm always looking for the outside thing that's different than everybody's doing, the little things. That's why I tend to throw either super small realistic baits or super giant baits, and there's not that much in between, and I haven't really focused on that in a long time. But this year, what I've realized is, one, I learned a lot because there's a lot of areas in the world, in this country, I haven't fished, or I don't have a lot of extensive experience. Got a lot of experience out west, got a lot of experience up north or northwest, a little bit in the Midwest, and I've fished a couple things in the southeast a long, long time ago. But this year I actually got kind of thrown to the fire. Florida, Tennessee, some of these other areas. Never been on any of these lakes in Wisconsin, Grand Lake earlier in the year. Never been on these lakes, really. Don't have any experience, and I'm over here looking for these off the wall things to try to win this deal. And what I've learned is consistently what it looks like to me. This is what I've gathered and looking at other tournaments. It's like, if you're a tournament fisherman and you're trying to do well, trying to make money, one, it's super hard, right? But you got to keep things simple. And granted, I'm not the guy you need to look forward to that, but hopefully I can change it, because like I said, I'm taking in data or inputs from my own experiences this year, and I'm trying to adjust the way I'm fishing, especially out in these venues that a lot of tournaments go to, since they're not fishing out west. Out west is a little different story. I'll give myself that, but even then, we got to look at it this way. And what I mean is keeping it simple. Like, there's certain tactics that just seem to work, right? Instead of looking for all these off-the-wall things, it's cool in practice, maybe you look for them, but when you get down to the dirt, it's like, keep things simple, keep things within a confidence range. So if you're out there with 25 rods on a tournament day, then chances are, if you're just doing that, that's like ultimate trash fishing. And maybe there's a time and a place for, in general, guys that do well, from what I've seen, it's down to like 2 to 3 rods, or they're utilizing, and they might not even be on anything in practice. They just go out with their confidence stuff, and they just do it, right? And they are more, it seems like they're more consistent, and they do well. So that's what I've learned, is that keeping things simple. Maybe you have a certain set of baits. Like for me, I'm gonna start doing that, especially with tournament fishing. Instead of operating on those margins, I was like, well, we need a reaction style bait. We need a bait that, maybe we need a reaction style bait that is in one water column. We need a bottom bait. We need, depending on the year, a top water bait. Just keep it down to 4 or 5 rods on tournament day. Maybe practice, I have a bunch of crap out, but on tournament day, we're gonna consolidate and then not be so adverse to just fishing the way that everybody else fishes at times, right? A jig is a jig, and a jig seems to work. Instead of me, I like look at it, it's like, well, these guys are catching them on a jig. Well, maybe I can catch them on something else. They can go behind them. And there is a time and place for that. And I know that. But it seems like this year has really taught me that, hey, sometimes just throwing a jig is fine. Sometimes just flipping this same 1 ounce thing with a beaver style bait like everybody else is doing in the grass is fine. And that's how you're going to make a check. And I guess it is, just don't make it as complicated as I seem to make it. And like I said, there's a time and a place for that, but the majority of the time when you go to a tournament, it's not that complicated. It's as simple as having confidence baits, and the majority of the time when it's more about the area that you're in. And I've seen that in the tournaments I've fished this year. There's a few guys that are out, doing different things, but in general, the top 10 dudes especially, 80% of them probably are in a same general area or fishing the same general way. And that you can't lie to yourself and say that, eventually it's going to come into my wheelhouse. Well, maybe it will, but if you're going to be consistent and make money doing this, or at least just, make some money so you can actually keep doing it, you need to be aware of some of these patterns like that. That hey, there is a reason these baits seem to work well here, and year after year they produce the greater number, or these areas and these baits produce, and these colors or whatever produce the vast majority of the top 10s or top 25s or whatever it is that you want to base your metrics on. And it's just the reality of the situation, and I had to face it. I'm facing it myself this year, coming from out west. Like I can go, like when I go to the US Open, there's a lot of, that's a place where I can figure out oddball things and play along the margins. But even there, the guys that have won that the last, two out of 3 years, they're just staying with their confidence baits and it's power fishing, very simplistic, and just grinding it out. So even there, but like I said, the margin game, that I'll call it the margin game, looking for the little outside, off the wall things. It has a time and a place, but in general sense, you're safer, and you're probably going to do better if you keep things simple, stay with confidence baits, stay in confidence areas, and grind it out that way. But anyway, that is the major thing that I've learned this year. And plus, you can always say, I've been in these new waters. I've learned a lot about now fishing Florida, fishing that type of grass, flipping bushes that I haven't in Texas, that I didn't have a whole lot. I've flipped hardwood before, but flipping bushes like there was in Texarkana was a little bit different for me, especially the grass thing in Florida. Seeing that ledge stuff in Tennessee was different for me too. Like I fished a lot offshore, but that was completely different for me. Wisconsin, that was more in my wheelhouse, and I just jacked that one up. I mean, I've seen that and those type of lakes. Not that lake in particular, but different northern lakes like that. And I kind of knew what to expect. But where else did we go? And we're going to go to Grand. So we're going to Grand starting next week as of where I'm filming this. And I've been there earlier this year, and that was something. Day one screwed up. Day two did really well when I was there. And I wasn't even really fishing day two. I was helping my co-angler get a check, but I learned a lot there. And then every time I've gone there just to fun fish, I've learned a lot there. So I'm learning how to fish those type lakes, and those are good lakes to learn, like Table Rock. But what I've said, there's certain baits, certain lakes, you got to keep it simple. And even then, when I'm learning these other lakes, there's certain tactics that just work at these places, and it's more area specific than anything. But anyway, I want to leave it there. I'll talk to you later.